Hey, I'm Richard Gibbons here, MLS Director of Southwest MLS, and today we're continuing a series I'm calling More Than Just an MLS Rule. So part 2 of this is going to be talking about copyright and content, and we're going to be looking at how it intersects with the Code of Ethics and with law as well. So, quick disclaimer, nothing in the Code of Ethics is ever cut and dry. These are often not MLS rules and are subject to due process except in very specific situations. Members may be found in violation of an article by a hearing of their peers, and any specific situations in question should be directed to Melody Marr, the GAR Director of Professional Standards. We're also going to be talking a little bit about law today, so I have to make it clear that I am not an attorney, this is not legal advice, and if you have any questions about the law, I do recommend seeking an attorney. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about Standard of Practice 1210. So what this does is it prohibits realtors from presenting content developed by others without either attribution or without permission. Is that number 4 is what I'm focusing on right here. So what this is talking about is that you should never take any kind of listing data that you did not develop yourself and reuse that data without permission. This applies to photos, remarks, documents, or really anything else about a listing. If you didn't create it, you shouldn't be reusing it without permission. And this may sound familiar because Ashley Strauss-Martin has been saying this stuff for a very long time. This actually came from a slide back in 2019, but I'm sure she's been saying it longer than that. Even beyond the MLS, if you're using photos without permission, there are these people out there that are photographers who have a right to protect what they have created that are sending out demand letters, and this was a demand made for $6,500 that the person either did not have E&O coverage or it didn't cover it in the situation. I'm not sure exactly which one that is. But this is a very real thing. Copyright law it protects the person who creates the copyright. So the general rule there is if you didn't create it yourself or pay someone else to create it, don't use it. One of the most common things that we come across is that we do have a $250 fine for unauthorized use of photos. And it's, that it has to be reported to us by the listing broker or the copyright holder. And the reason I go back to this over and over and over again is we hear things like, oh, well, the seller told me we could use them. The seller is not the copyright holder. The photographer is the copyright holder. So unless you have paid that photographer for the right to use those photos under copyright law, you do not have permission to use those photos. And that's where we have the MLS rule that backs this up to help protect that very, very, very important copyright of photographers. So again, if you didn't pay for it or you didn't create it yourself, don't use it. That's the general rule to always follow, and in that case, you'll always be in good shape. Even if you get the permission from a listing broker, unless that broker has a contract in place where the photographer has transferred ownership of that contract to the listing broker, you may not still have permission to use that. It needs to come from the person who created the photo, which is generally the photographer. So as always, any questions down here at the bottom, support at SWMLS.com or 505-843-8833. We're happy to help. Can't give legal advice, but we'll help point you in the right direction if we need to. Thanks and have a great day.